Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Golf Insider webcast and podcast. I'm Jeff Bergerson. My screen name is JT Bergerson. Joined as always by my partner, Zach Turcotte. His screen name is Mysteriously. We're with FantasyGolfInsider.com, where we highly recommend you check us out if you haven't already. If you're not a member, go on and sign up for our premium content. We got a lot of free content on there, but all of our tools and our great articles every week are premium. So please sign up for us, and we'll make you profitable fantasy golf players. This broadcast is also available in podcast form on iTunes. Go on there and give us a 5-star review. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you know when our video comes out each week. You're the first to know. Zachary, let's talk a little bit about last week's event, which was the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Yeah.
Again, it came down to the wire, and again, a top-level player won. During the webcast and also on SiriusXM Radio with Tommy G last week, I talked about trying to squeeze in some of those top 5 or 6 guys, and the more you could get in your lineups, the better, because I just felt like they were going to dominate the top 10, and they did.
And you were all over Jason Day. I mean, that was your big pick last week. That was your ESPN kind of one and done selection for the week, and you really hadn't had a ton of tournament history, so there wasn't a lot of buzz around him.
Right.
People were a little bit nervous. He'd been consulting with Tiger Woods a little bit, trying to figure out his game, going through a little bit of a slump. So a lot of people stayed away, but you were all over him, and so you had quite a few teams there that were kind of making a push for.
I had about 70% exposure today, nice. And I teamed him with Stenson, almost in most of them. I would say 50% Stenson then. Then I mixed in even Rose in some of those and just went with 3 scrub guys.
Yeah. So it really just came down to were you able to get the scrubs through that you needed in order to make it work. You got Finau working for you, who was working for everybody, which of course crushed me in a couple of the games. You saw my Twitter, well, not Twitter rant, but my text rant on Friday afternoon after he sank a 36-foot eagle putt on 16.
You didn't like that?
That was unbelievable. So he ekes through the cut by 1 stroke on a 36-foot eagle putt. You know, Tony Finau putting genius that he is, and then goes on to Saturday and Sunday.
Sunday looked good.
Rolled off birdie after birdie after birdie. He didn't gain a lot of ground on Saturday, but he hit a ton of birdies. So that was kind of a nightmare.
Easily paid off his $5,900 price tag.
There were 32% of the field in the clubhouse in the 1,060 owned him. So it was heavily, and I kind of figured that was coming because those guys are absolute value chasers. The bigger the player, the more typical it is. You see these guys drop way down and then they just push all in, which is an interesting strategy. It really sort of mirrors a lot of what people are doing on the football side of things. And I'm still not necessarily sure if I'm completely on board with it. It worked out this week. It didn't work out for folks when they did it last week.
No.
But I still don't know that I completely agree with the logic in terms of price. Because with football, when you do it, it's typically with a backup running back. Star running back.
Who's going to get volume?
Star running back gets hurt in football. His backup now is priced at $3,000. You know, he's getting 15 to 20 touches.
Correct.
You plug him in, it's easy value again and again.
With
golf, though, it seems like a lot of guys are applying the same logic where they say, all right, across the board, I see Finau is down to 5,900 this week. I'm just going to push all in, even though typically Florida has never really been a spot over the last couple of years where he has played very well. What's your cutoff point in terms of making an aggressive play like that?
So last week, I was high on Tony Finau, and my thought process behind it was I wanted to load up on all of those top-end guys. To me, at 5,900, he seemed like a good enough play because we had the reduced field. He didn't need to do too much to make the cut. Now, if it was a 150-some player field, I would have been less apt to load up on Finau. He was so cheap. He got through the cut, and I figured it's a scorer's course. You can score on that course. And the par 5s, you will rack up, and his DK points. So I just thought if he can make it through the cut, I didn't own him in any cash games, but GPPs, I thought he was well worth the risk.
The 5,900, and it definitely paid off for you. And you saw that across the board. There were 3 or 4 big names in fantasy who were just loaded up pretty much across the board on those guys. So that was definitely the play. And if you had that, then that just catapulted your team. Because then if you had the day McIlroy, the day Stenson, the day Scott,
Rose even.
line up, right, any of those pieces together that just launched you. Because if you have a guy at 5,900 who does 76 to 80 points of damage, whatever it was that Finau did over the weekend, then you can fill in with a couple of decent middle players there. And now all of a sudden your team's contending. So that was really the key for the week, was finding those players, those scrub players that were going to make it through for you.
The discouraging thing to me is the winner in the $100,000, or the person who won the $100,000 in the $33, owned Kevin Chappell at 0.9%, owned Ernie Els.
Sure.
And I love your text to me that says, I could have done 10,000 lineups and not had that combination in it. And I would never own Ernie Els in any GPP.
There aren't too many where I would have him. He's been up and down. He has had some decent finishes, but he wasn't at a particularly great price.
No.
I mean, he wasn't at a price where I thought I have to own Ernie Els.
Absolutely not.
So Chappell's been a guy who was frustrated the hell out of the fantasy community over the last year. I mean, we started out the year, we were on him for 2 or 3 weeks. You were on him, then I was on him. And we thought he's better than this. He's better than the results are showing. We got to stick with him a little bit. But then he wasn't, and we eventually had to get away. And then here was an event, I think this is the first time he's ever actually played here at Bay Hill, which is even more amazing. So it comes out of nowhere.
I know.
Coming up 18, I mean, at that point I was figuring there's got to be a Chappell blow-up. There's no way he's getting this thing.
Well, when it's Jason Day, Henrik Stenson, and Kevin Chappell, that's the biggest slam dunk I've ever seen in my life for Jason Day.
Yeah, I thought that would be for Day. I knew
Stenson ain't going to win anything. That guy, he finds a different way to choke every single time.
Yeah, 2 terrible bogeys. I mean, the one on 15 was really poorly set up, and then the one on 16. 16 is maybe one of the easiest par 5s I've ever seen. I mean, every guy is just in position just about to not only eagle or, definitely have a shot at birdie, and here's Stenson. Dunks it in the water on his second shot.
He drained one long putt, but he missed several very makeable putts down the stretch.
And that just seems so typical of him.
It does.
I mean, it really is starting to feel like Sunday Stenson, which if he's your guy that you're cheering for on Sunday.
Well, if you need a win, and I did need a win out of him to push me over, because the guys in front of me had Jason Day, so I needed a Stenson to win. I pretty much knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I felt the same way with my big team as well. I had Stenson up there. And yeah, I knew there wasn't going to be a miracle coming on that one. But, that's what you get for having him on there. And for the most part, Hayes third place.
And he third, and he paid off his price. He just can't expect to win. So.
Yep, exactly. So it was an entertaining week. There were a couple of disappointing players in there. Gary Woodland was one. I feel like I could do a shot of the week for him.
My God.
Holes 1 through 17 on Thursday and Friday, -2 overall. So for 34 holes, he's -2. Hole 18, +5 in 2 days. Put it into the water, not once.
Very Adam Scott-like.
But twice. Yeah, it was. The second one was a little more unforgivable. He was +1 on Friday, last hole. I feel like he was pressing there for the birdie, which I can appreciate to some extent, being aggressive. The first one, though, was the one that really just killed him. So he was a little bit of a disappointment. Harris English again on the number.
He's been bad too.
He fell way back, made a huge push, and then came up just one shot short. Just went birdie to end the day on Friday, which was terrible because that was the shot. Between that shot and Woodland going into the water, those were the 2 shots that broke the optimal lineup again. Because we had 4 pretty good players who got through, but Harris missed by 1, and then Woodland goes into the water on 18. So it was so close. Again, I feel like the composition of that lineup was just fine.
I know.
It just, 1 or 2 holes here and there where guys got themselves into trouble where they normally would not have. So a little bit frustrating there. But we gave ourselves a lot of opportunities. I mean, I had good opportunities in the clubhouse event. Woodland was the one thing that ended up holding me back out of the money from this week. And you had a ton of opportunities to get Thunderdome tickets to take down $100,000. And you broke even for the week?
And Brandon Steele pittered it away for me.
Yeah, he basically took a knee. He basically decided it was garbage time, and he just knelt down almost all day Saturday and Sunday. I mean, he was not really in any kind of position to hit any birdies for the most part. Wasn't in position to score. Just
Once Bryson DeChambeau was racking up the birdies early in the morning, I'm like, whoa, we got a shot here. We just need Steele and Smiley Kaufman to step up.
Did you have Rory on that team?
I had Rory on
Rory went
a couple of the teams, but it didn't happen. So, oh well, Arnold Palmer Invitational, turn the page.
Yeah, it was an exciting one, so it's a good one.
On to what?
We had a subscriber do fairly well.
Oh,
$33.
go ahead. Yeah.
So we did have one of our subscribers who ended up doing extremely well.
Was that Todd Decker?
Yeah, and he just let us know here earlier this afternoon. He was pretty excited. He just became a subscriber last week, won $700 last week.
Okay, that's a good start.
Decided he'd take it and roll some of that into the $33 GPP this week. Took 5th place with just a handful of points off the top spot. So $700 last week, $5,000 win.
It's just that easy.
He wanted to let us know that he had paid off his subscription already.
For many years to come.
So he was excited about that. We were excited for you. So that was awesome. Love hearing stories like that. He said, over the last couple of months, he's just been treading water. Mostly his bankroll was coming down just a little bit at a time. Pretty typical story for folks who like to play a balance between cash and GPP lineups every week. Those are so hard to win. There's 14,000 people in these things, and even for the most part, when you cash, you're just doubling up, and then the rest of your teams lose in the GPP. So you're coming down in that GPP money, and cash has been a struggle this year. So he said his bankroll was kind of staying even, coming down a little bit, and then this last couple of weeks, things just took off, and that's what I told him in my email. I said, that's exactly what it is. If you're going to play GPPs, you just have to kind of load up and expect things are going to be tough for the most part. But those 1 or 2 Sundays where you have patience and you stick with your process and you keep putting together good, solid, competitive lineups, eventually that patience is going to pay off. So I was excited to hear a nice win story over the weekend, even if it wasn't you or me.
It would have been nice if it was me, but exactly. One of our members. So on to Shots of the Week, brought to you by Swannies. Please check out swanniesfootwear.com for all of your golf apparel needs. Use discount code FANTASYGOLF and get 20% off your order. They sponsor Shots of the Week. So.
Yeah, they're putting together a sandal just for us, a customized one. And over the next couple of weeks, as soon as we get that'll be up for grabs during our Wacky Wagers. So pretty excited about that. It should be fun. So
the Shot of the Week this week, Zachary, I know you're going to like this one. You don't know what this is. But I'm just going to do the broad topic of television coverage of the PGA Tour.
Amazing.
I knew this will get you fired up.
Oh, it didn't get me this week, at least. One of the rare times when I turn it on Saturday and recognize
That's what I was talking about.
Immediately that it is tape delayed coverage.
How many people do you think were watching that did not know that was live?
There were.
I would say a vast majority.
If you hit me on Twitter, as soon as I put my little rant out there on Twitter, a few people realize it. But the first thing I check as soon as I wake up Saturday is who's teed off. All the scores are going. So I had a pretty good idea where they were at, and I turned it on. Wait a minute, the leaders here are not on the 3rd hole. They're on like the 14th.
It's so goddamn outrageous. Why can't, if you're going to show it, can't you just start, even if the leaders are on hole 9, start with them on 9, show it live for 9 holes, then you can always repeat it after that. This isn't brain surgery.
Yeah, repeat it on NBC at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No, you're showing a replay anyway. I just don't give a damn to watch, a
replay.
Right, a replay.
They don't do it for any other sport that's out there. Yeah. It's crazy. Can you imagine that in the NFL doing a tape delay
at halftime? We're just gonna show it because we couldn't bring it to you live.
Game's over now, but here you go from kickoff.
But I know what you love the most is when they interview the CEO.
Oh, that's my favorite. And they can't. They can't do just voice.
Right. No.
And show people playing golf. Right. We need to see the CEO on camera for a good 10 minutes or so.
We're going to cut away from coverage.
Chattering away about his product. Yeah, in the middle of a very exciting round. Everything's going on.
Would you love to see a football game where they just, in the booth, were interviewing someone from Anheuser-Busch while the game's going on? Or we're just going to interview him for 15 minutes and the game's going on.
Or if they just grabbed like Bernie Kosar and decided to show him helping you out with passing a spiral better. You know what I mean?
This is really interesting.
Help me, Bernie. I mean, something stupid like that. Like they have help me was it Costas?
Help me Costas,
I hate those segments. Ridiculous.
Anytime they say, and now Jimmy Roberts brings us this piece.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the bathroom. I'm getting a snack. I don't give a damn.
This is me quick viewing it over to the Division II NCAA men's basketball tournament. That's what that is. It's awful. I hate it.
Oh, that's awful.
It drives me nuts. So that's what the shot of the week. That's
the shot of the week. The crappy coverage that is golf coverage.
Perfect.
All right.
I can do that.
Woo, that's good. On to Wacky Wagers, Zachary. How did it go this week? Who did you play? What happened?
Actually, we had two of them going on this week.
You had two
that was
Wacky
exciting.
Wagers.
We had the Tour Junkies.
Okay.
The guys, they run a fantastic podcast. They're actually out of Augusta.
Okay.
So I've been in touch. I'll be headed down in a few weeks for the Masters, so I'm really excited.
You're going to hang with them?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
We're going to get together and drink a little whiskey and talk a little bit of golf. So it should be a lot of fun. So I was chatting them up, asked them if they wanted to do the contest, and they were game for it. I absolutely smoked David. That was over before Friday's round was even done. He had two guys left after Friday, and I had both of them on my team. So
nice.
It was a very easy.
He was drawing dead.
Very, very nice. Had Pat down after day 1, day 2, and day 3. Had him on the ropes, of course. You know, Matt Kuchar comes out and misses the cut for me on Friday by 1 shot. And then I had Luke Donald on that team who also fell apart on Friday. So those two guys both ended up missing. So I was a guy short against him. Going into Sunday, in the lead, and then he had Rory on his team who came to life, put up a ton of points. Eagle. I was within about 3 or 4 points with Henrik Stenson making a charge, tied for first place.
And you needed him to win.
And then into the water, and then ended up losing by about 16 points. So it just came up just short against Pat. David owes me...
Yeah, so what'd you win?
He owes me some kind of specialized whiskey glass. It's a special material that goes into making a glass. It takes very good care of the whiskey and brings out the flavors. And
you have no idea what you want.
He showed me a picture of it. It looks cool. It's made of some special material.
Okay,
so very excited. So I get one of those.
Okay.
I lost a shirt that's near and dear to my heart that I've had over the years. Says, "Not tonight, ladies. I'm just here to get drunk" on the front. He wanted something outside of FGI swag, so I went looking to see what I could find.
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, I think it's like an extra large. So I think Pat wears a size small to medium range from what David was saying. So it's gonna fit him like a skirt.
That's gonna look really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll look a little funny, but I did lose out on that, which is sad because he put up a UGA hat and he was going to get Kevin Kisner to sign it, and he said possibly somebody else from Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, and they're both real big Georgia fans. I mean, on each of their teams, they had CH3, they had Kisner, they had.
I heard their podcast with Kisner. That was really good. Kisner's a funny dude.
Yeah, they have really good interviews on there. So if you guys get the chance to check them out, they had Webb Simpson's caddy on there.
Oh, really?
The other week they interviewed Brooks Koepka a few weeks back. Nice. They've had Scott Brown on a couple times. So it's a lot of fun. It's a good one to check out. It's one I put on the list to listen to every week. So it was a lot of fun. Went 1-1 against those guys. So we'll do it again next year and see those guys in a few weeks.
I bet Brooks would refuse to come on with us after our display in Austin.
I wish we had that on camera. He wouldn't even remember, I'm sure, but we could remind him just to see if he actually remembered seeing the.
His mom would probably remember.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was a classic moment. I wish we had that on camera, but yeah.
So this week we're previewing. What we're gonna do is we have 2 tournaments going on. We got the WGC Match Play tournament with all the top players in the world, but DraftKings doesn't have a contest for it. So
thank you, DraftKings.
You want to talk about that? Why can't DraftKings have a contest for that?
Just keep it simple, guys. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here with this contest. Make it work the same. You pick the salaries. There's clear favorites in each of the groups that are going on.
Yep.
You know, each guy is going to get a minimum of 3 rounds. So it's basically just like an extra round in the event. So it's like a 5-round event. Mm-hmm. The majority of the guys, 3/4 of the players are just going to miss the cut.
There's going to be get eliminated out of pool play.
Emphasis on the top guys. Yeah. You eliminate position points for the week. Easy. Everything else, the same. So I really don't know what the difference would be. Maybe you give points for like the top 4 finishes or something.
Well, you'd have to get rid of a couple of the bonuses, I guess. But I don't know.
It wouldn't be that difficult to nothing that you and I couldn't sit down within 20 minutes and have a new scoring system for.
That's okay. We want to do Puerto Rico anyway.
No,
the Puerto Rican Open. No. You don't want to do Puerto Rico?
I wanted a week off is what I wanted. I'm so excited this week. It's the week I see at the beginning of the year where I think, all right, I'm going to be exhausted by this point. Coming up to the Masters. The salaries are out for the Masters. I figure we'll get a jump on doing our Masters previews this week. We'll put together a few things, start getting some things out there. Whoa, wait. We got Puerto Rico coming at you instead with the whole star-studded cast of names.
So for those of you who do one and dones, season longs, the match play is at Austin Country Club, 7,073 yards. It's a par 71. They play a round robin, the first 3 rounds. The pools are 4 guys. The winner advances, then it becomes bracket play where they play heads up match play. The only 2 guys that I think aren't going to be there in the top 50 are Jim Furyk because he's hurt and Henrik Stenson because I have no idea. Just doesn't want to play it. So
the head case.
I was looking at the pools a little bit earlier because they were just announced. A couple of them stand out. Group 8 really intrigues me.
Is that the group of death?
That's the group of death. Bubba Watson, J.B. Holmes, Emiliano Grillo, and Patton Kizzire. That's a pretty
you got
pretty
a dark
good
horse
pool.
On there? Is Patton Kizzire or Grillo gonna sneak up on people there?
Could be. Then there's a couple of other ones that I kind of like. Patrick Reed, Phil Mickelson, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Daniel Berger's kind of intriguing too. Yeah, I like that kind of a young guns with Phil. That's interesting to me as well. I think.
How much money do you think your figure gets bet on the side of these things?
Oh yeah, probably a lot.
I wonder about that sometimes. How much of if these guys ever just kind of come up to each other, even at the beginning of rounds of tournaments,
right?
Well, just throw $500 on the side. You can figure Phil's does that for almost every event.
I think he probably doesn't walk across the street without having money on it.
Why would you?
I know.
If you're Phil Mickelson, especially.
Life is so much more interesting when you have money on it.
Yeah. Well.
And Phil agrees with that.
That when we were about 9.
Yeah, it didn't take us long. We're betting on basketball in the driveway.
Penny poker.
Oh yeah, billiards. We bet on everything. We bet on Trivial Pursuit.
Hundreds of dollars on billiards games at the age of 10 or 11.
And by the way, you still owe me a lot of money from those.
Wait, I think I evened up somewhere.
No, I don't think you did. You still owe me a lot of money for that. So. Anyway, so we will talk the majority about the DraftKings because that's what most people want to talk about.
We'll actually be able to play.
Yep, so that's the Puerto Rico Open. That's at Cocoa Beach Golf and Country Club, the championship course. It's a longer course, 7,500 yards. It's a par 72. It used to be the Trump International Puerto Rico, but they changed the name because they didn't have the rights to it, whatever. It's been on the schedule with the PGA since 2008, so we take our tournament history back there. Key stats this week are strokes gained putting, strokes gained tee to green, birdie or better, par 5 scoring, and scrambling as well.
Pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an unknown because this event used to be played simultaneously as the WGC Cadillac. So there wasn't a DraftKings contest for it. This would be the first year that DraftKings is having a contest, so we don't have any historic DK data.
And everything's a little wacky this year just due to the fact that the Olympics are throwing everything out of whack.
Well, that too. Yeah. Yep. So what we'll be looking at, we'll look at course form, obviously current form. The strength of the field is really weak, and we're going to have some laughs when we review the pricing for some of these guys.
In terms of just a quick strategy point, let's take our exposure this week down to maybe about...
Your strategy is Todd Decker. Move it all in. You've been hot.
No, yeah. But maybe 10 to 15% of your normal amount. Make this week you're just for fun.
Oh yeah, of your normal
play.
Right. Yep.
Right. So if you're betting $100 a week, just put in $15-20.
Yeah, for fun.
Just for fun because it is going to be all over the place in terms of who makes it through the cut, who misses the cut. You could see. I think a good 4 of 6 will get you through in cash games. I think even the best, if you have 3 of 6 that are really good, you could get through cash because there are going to be some teams that are just decimated.
Oh, sure.
This week in terms of who makes it through and who misses the cut, because you're still going to have some good names good names at the top of the salary tier that are going to miss the cut this week.
Okay.
And it's just going to take teams apart. So,
okay. So are you ready for our recommendations this week? We're going to draw them out of the hat.
Thought you were just going to say Wild West style. 6 guns a-blazing.
No. So why don't we start at the top? And the higher price guys, you have Graham Dillette and Scott Brown. I can't even say it with a
Dillette at the
face.
top. Do you like him this week? He actually probably should have won a couple weeks ago at the Valspar. If he could have hit anything at all in terms of a putt on Sunday, the guy was definitely set up to win there. He was playing fantastic from tee to green.
Yep.
But he was, I think, worst in the field in terms of his putting, which is not really all that surprising for Dillette.
Right.
It seems to be the reason why he can't get over the hump and win his first event. But now he comes in, he's at the top this week. Do you like him?
I don't like him.
No.
I don't like Graham Dillette, and I certainly don't like Graham Dillette for $11,000.
It seems a bit pricey for him this week. He's certainly not dominant. There's not really a lot of guys that are up here who are dominant enough to just say across the board, I want to be in on this guy. I think the next guy down is one of the few guys that I maybe will be in on a little bit this week with Scott Brown.
Yeah.
And that's, he's had some experience here.
Yep.
He's won here a few years ago. He's had 3 top 10s here. And I know there's a big buzz out there saying, let's just discount tournament history. Let's throw that away. Well, let's not completely throw that away.
Right.
I mean, it's still a pretty good levelizing kind of factor across a lot of. I mean, when you get a field that is as mixed as this one is, you want to be able to look at something at least that makes somebody stand out from the rest.
Of course.
And so I think, looking at the history, he has done well here. But the other thing is he's playing really well right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He made 4 straight cuts, 2 top 10s within that 4. And he's starting to put things together. And this was about the time last year when things came together. And he had a pretty good spring to summertime where he was on a couple of our very key teams. And he made a few key write-ups for us.
He did.
To help make us some money. So at the top there, I do like
So you like Scott Brown?
Yep.
The guy who I think is going to be, most popular in that upper area will be Patrick Rogers, I think.
Sure, I think him and Finau.
Him and Finau at 92, he'll be popular, and Luke Donald at 9,600 will be the highest ownership type guys this week.
Especially after last week with Finau and with Rogers, with the points that they put up out of nowhere, and with this course is considered to be a little on the softer side. So
it is, and par 5 scoring is a key stat this week. So Tony Finau, are you interested at all, or are you just going to do strict fade mode on Finau?
I think because he is going to be so popular this week, and I would have actually thought his price would have been a little higher.
Yeah, me too.
I would have thought he would have been in that 10K range this week.
At 9,200, people are going to load up.
Because if you've got Patrick Rogers and Tony Finau, it's like the same player, basically. You get so many things that overlap in terms of how they've been playing recently and the types of courses that they tend to excel at. And so if you can, get Tony Finau for 9,000 lower, and Tony's got a little bigger name anyways.
Right.
I think everybody is going to be in on Finau. I'm going to have a hard time playing him in the 1 or 2 tournaments that I put money into here this week. So I think the play there is the fade, because I think Finau's ownership probably will be up over 20%.
Yeah, I was going to say upper 20s. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the play is probably to be off of Finau this week.
Anyone else who you like in that upper range? A guy who I like at 9,000 is Jonathan Bird.
Okay.
He's played well in this tournament.
Just rolls off the tongue. Jonathan Bird, 9,000, right?
This would be the only time I ever want Jonathan Bird for anything more than 6,000. But I like him in that area, and I also like Derek Fathauer at 7,800. I think that's a reasonable.
Played great last week, and he's been a guy who's actually been making cuts for the most part this season. What is he? He's only missed, I think, 3 or 4 cuts.
And he's got some upside too. So I like him as well in that range. Who are you kind of targeting in that middle tier?
Well, I would drop down probably a little bit. I think Kyle Stanley down at 8,000. If I'm looking at this list of guys, there's not so many guys that stand out to me that I want to definitely pay 8,000, 8,500 for. So for a lot of them, I'm going to drop down a little bit. We went with Aaron Badley last week, who just, once again, it's like Lucy holding the football for Charlie Brown. I got it yanked out from under me, came in playing well, had a nice track record at the course. Didn't do so well, but at 7,600, I think that's a nice price there for him. Dropping down, Kyle Reifers is a guy who's been playing.
I have him start as well.
Reasonably well. I think that's definitely a guy you can build. I mean, when you look at that, if you're going to pay, 7,500 for Reifers or, 9,000 for Jonathan Bird, I mean, it's not.
Right.
There's not that much of a difference.
Yep, Reifers has got upside too. I know Dr. Roto will be big time in on Will McKenzie this week because he put up the big T37 a couple weeks ago. So,
and he's been good at this tournament too. So, I mean, if you're looking for reasons to play a guy,
if you liked him a couple weeks ago, you might as well roll him out this week.
I think he's made 2 or 3 straight cuts now. He's made 3 straight cuts, so for him that's a huge roll. So he's doing pretty well there. So. I think that's a guy that's definitely worth checking out.
One guy I like, and he's total boomer bust, and he hasn't had good form this year at all, although he was good last year, is Sean Stephanie at 6,800. I do think people are probably going to gravitate toward him because he's a bigger name in that lower range. But I think there's a chance that he has some upside in this tournament. So I'll be having a little Sean Stephanie this week.
I'm going to go back to the ass wagon this week. Tyrone Van Oswegen. He's one of the few guys who actually dropped in price this week. He went from 6,500 to 6,200.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, because he's only missed 2 cuts this whole season.
Yeah.
And he's played great. So, and like I said, there's so many guys in the 7, 8, and 9, even 9 range who are not exceptional players.
Right.
Van Oswegen, now that he's in a weaker field, he should actually end up doing reasonably well. So I'm definitely looking at him down there at 6,200. I like that. Same with Mark Hubbard. He's another guy who's making cuts and not getting a ton of respect. He's at 6,200. He barely saw his price move at all after last week. And both these guys missed the cut, but again, much, much tougher tournament than what we've got going this week. So both of those guys, I think, are huge plays, particularly so if you are doing GPP and you want to stars and scrubs type of a lineup. I think you got to get those guys in for sure as well. Coming down, Rob Oppenheim had a big week. He's been decent this season.
Yeah, he's had a couple good appearances.
5 out of 7 so far making the cut. I mean, not a great player, but again,
not very good.
No,
but...
no. Exactly.
Oh well.
But at 6,000, it's a guy who's worth taking a little bit of a risk on. And then there's all kinds of folks down here from 6,000 and lower that make an absolute mess out of the thing. Who do you like? Who do you love below 6,000 this week that is going to be on 100% of all JT Bergerson rosters?
Yeah, I'm going to load up on probably nobody
John
below
Daly?
This range. Yeah, John Daly's in this range.
You know the big guy?
Michael Bradley. I don't even know. I'm not going to touch any of these guys.
Michael Bradley's won here before.
What year did Michael Bradley win? Wow, that's some key information. Michael Bradley has won this tournament before, Zachary?
I think he's won it twice.
Oh, shit. Michael Bradley. Wow.
Yeah, he has. He's won it in 2011 and 2009. What do you think of that?
I'm rolling out 5,400. That's a bargain. Michael Bradley it is. He's my guy at 5,400.
He's actually made, boy, we sound good here. He's made 6 out of 7 cuts.
Oh, wow.
Apparently he is a Cocoa Beach specialist.
A force to be reckoned with in the Puerto Rico Open.
He doesn't play a lot of other events throughout the season. This is his Masters right here. The Michael Bradley Augusta. But yeah, who wins? And not even that far, not even that long ago.
Wow, that makes
this
outstanding.
Tournament ridiculous. So yeah, I'm sure there will be plenty of people who end up loading up on him. Yeah, you do have John Daly. His last top 10 was here a year ago, or he took 10th, and he is at 5,400 this week.
The only other guy that I'll throw out the name, and I won't stand behind his name, I'm just going to throw it out there, is Tom Gillis, who had a couple of upside events last season. He's been plagued with injuries, but a guy who you could throw into a GPP and a scrubs and scrubs type lineup.
I hate this event.
It's not a good one.
I'm so mad that I have to waste a Tuesday night, a perfectly good Tuesday night that I could have been sleeping on to write a big column. No, where's the mailbox? I feel like sending this one in.
But people appreciate the daily spin for the Puerto Rico Open.
Right.
We're going to have our most viewers for this particular webcast and podcast this week, I bet.
There's going to be like 100 people watching. Nobody even knows there's an event.
No one's going to watch this on YouTube. It's so sad. Anyway, do you want to even do Periscope this week? You might as well do Periscope. Last week you were too sick to do it, so.
Yeah, it was. We had quite a few people who sent in questions. We did it right. Just took direct lineup stuff through Twitter, which was fine. I actually see all the questions that way, which is good. They're not disappearing. I don't feel this desperate urge to start writing all of them down as they go flying by. So, yeah, I suppose I'll get on there.
All right,
I'm sure people are just going to have a ton of in-depth lineup questions for this one, but people love it. They seem to really enjoy seeing my mediocre-looking face each week.
Mediocre is generous.
Have a few more of these. I'll look plenty good.
I'm only here to drink, ladies. So isn't that what your shirt says? I'm only here to get drunk.
Not tonight, ladies. I'm just here to get drunk. And I won't even have that shirt anymore. So.
Do you want to wrap this up or just keep dragging it out for our 30 viewers?
Let's get out of here.
All right. So you can email us with any questions about anything. Strategy. Keep us updated with how you're doing in contests. At info@fantasygolfinsider.com. Our Twitter handle, I always say Twitter handle is @fantasygolfers.
I took over the Twitter account for our new acquisition.
Oh, okay. So we have PGA DFS. So
yeah, so if you want to hit me up over there, I can take all your questions over there as well.
Okay.
So, yeah,
all right.
So there's plenty of spots to track us down.
Yep. And if you're with PGA DFS and you're not on board with us yet, get on board.
Yeah, send us an email if you haven't. You've gotten the codes already. We sent out the new subscription codes to keep your subscription going for PGA DFS, which we're going to continue running that service here throughout the year. So if you've been happy with that service, let us know. We'll get you signed up for a month to month. And if you want a discount for Fantasy Golf Insider and you've been over there for a while, you've been considering checking us out, again, check out that code or email me directly. I can send that off to you.
At Zach@fantasygolfinsider.com.
Or Jeff, if you want to chat with him instead.
No, do Zach at Fantasy Golf Insider.
Either one. Either one is fine, but Jeff's a little better.
So best of luck to all of you this week at the Puerto Rico Open. And then in the coming weeks, the Masters is coming up. So get your game fine-tuned. We got a millionaire maker to go after. We got to have a member of FGI win that $1 million for the Masters. That would be awesome.
I have a feeling we're probably going to be making 10,000 dares this year for that contest.
Probably.
We'll see.
Yep. So, all right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Good luck.
Good luck.